Okay, so now that we've eliminated any unwanted actives, we're going to move on to the next step. And those remaining actives, we're going to assign those actives with an ARV value. ARV stands for after repair value. So that is going to be, our wholesale properties. We're going to compare those to solds and under contracts that those solds and under contracts have been fixed up. Our wholesale property, obviously, is, being the lowest priced property neighborhood, is probably in pretty bad shape. So we're just going to try to figure out what our property would be worth if we were to fix it up. And so to go ahead and start off, if you haven't already ran a broker report from the neighborhood, go ahead and do so. So going back to our Montbello example, remember we eliminated this 117 because it's next to a busy street, but these other three look pretty good. So I went ahead and already ran that broker report. And so now we're going to take a look at the really compare the total square footage of these properties. And that total square footage, if you click do the click here on the sheet, it'll bring up an example of where that total square footage is at on the MLS sheet or the broker price sheet. So anyways, back to our search. We're going to, this is everything in the neighborhood. This is every single property. So we're going to narrow our search down to the square footage range and also the verbiage that of the completely fixed up remodeled properties. We're going to make our search engine just search for just those properties. So our we've got to add those boxes in. So the first thing I got to do is I got to add in the total square foot, and then I've also got to add in what's called the remarks. And you just arrow that over. You hit apply. And so then we're going to put in a total square foot range that is comparable to our wholesale actives. So we've got, this one's about 1700 square foot. This one's about 1600 square foot, and 1400 square foot. So we're going to take a look at this. Let's take a look at this. Actually, these two are pretty close, this 16, 17. So I'm going to put a range plus or minus 20%. So roughly 13 to 1850, for example, is what I'm going to put in for our search. So in total square foot, we're going to put in what did I say, 13 to 1850 square foot. And then in the remarks, this is real easy. You just scroll down, and this remodeled stainless granite, new carpet, this verbiage here, just copy it and paste it. Now let's go ahead and just run our search. So now this is going to pull up every active, under contract, and solds. Here's our solds, under contracts, and our blue is our actives that are within our total square foot range. And ignore the square foot and finished square foot. This is not the total square footage right here. Neither one of these columns apply to what we're looking at. The only way to see the total square footage is to run this broker price report, and you'll see it right here. Okay, so please ignore that. I know that sometimes it's confusing. So anyways, this will give us kind of a range. So we really got in our solds, here's our solds, here's our under contract, here's our active. So in our solds we've got 156, 155, 155. I also use under contract, so we got a 164, 148. So I'm going to use a range of 160, 155, and 150. It's kind of my range. It's okay. This is kind of however, just kind of use your judgment on this. Nothing's gonna be perfect, but you're gonna get within a range of value that's gonna be pretty darn close. So if even if you selected 165, 155, and 145, I'm okay with that. If you selected you know, 160, 155, and 150, or one, you know, just somewhere in that range. That's going to be fine. So you don't even need to look at these. Just pull up your offer price calculator, and going back to our sheet, if you click here, it'll pull up the offer price calculator. It's also in Dropbox under the training. No, I'm sorry, not under training. It's under the it's under telemarketing and assistance. It's offer price calculators right there. So anyways, pull that up. So let's say whatever range, we're going to do 150, 155, and 160. This offer price calculators automatically calculate these prices that we're going to use. These are our ARV prices, and I'm going to relabel this so that it says that. So 75 to 80,000. So if we're below the 200,000, I usually use a 70% column right here. If it is above 200,000, I use the 75%. And I usually will just stick with the low to mid. If the property seems like it's in really good condition, I guess you can use the high, but you normally just stay in this range until you get really comfortable kind of playing with some different values. So there you have your ARV value, and that's it. So we'll move on to the next section that will explain, you know, exporting this data out of the MLS and copy and pasting it in the offer database, and then taking this value and plugging that into the offer database, and then moving on to the next property.